Welcome to your Executive MBA. My name is Jens Mueller, and I'm one of the entertainers here in this program. And I want to walk you through something that we have put together for you that will be a fantastic capstone at the end. I'm here in Lukla, Nepal, at the foot of Mount Everest Mountains, a place that is known for the most dangerous airport in the world. So let's think about what is the most dangerous thing that can happen to you and your career. It's probably that you have not had a chance to show yourself off in the best way, to accomplish something great, to do something that is big, something that you're known for, something that is a great stepping stone for your future. And so in this Executive MBA, we want to make sure that we don't just string one paper after the other, and after you clipped enough papers, you are being let go with a degree. This is about allowing you to do something great. So at the very end, what we will do is our director, Professor Ted Zorn, colleague of mine, and myself will work with you to put together a proposal, a plan that is based on research, on analysis, that is a big transformation. It could be an acquisition in your business of some other firm. It could be divestiture. It could be going global. It could be inventing something completely new, something that is monumental, big, huge, ambitious, and it allows you to show that you have the ability to put all the learnings together, your prior experience, and to then create something that can stand up so that when you have done this, you can walk away with the Executive MBA knowing that you have presented something to a board that is tremendously big, ambitious, and that you did that well. We will give you more information as the program develops as to what exactly is needed. And of course, we will be with you, working alongside you, making sure that this comes out as a highlight, a beautiful end of a very ambitious program that you're enrolled in. I look forward to seeing you soon. And now I'm trying to make it off the mountain without crashing a plane. Bye-bye. And being down from the mountain, the Himalayas now, back to Tauranga, a quick introduction of what we want to do with the ARP. This is in conjunction with your course guide, and we will publish that in the next couple of weeks. There's obviously not much hurry because right now you're doing Ted's course, and that sets the basis for how you do good fact-based research so that your conclusions are solid and you effectively are making a contribution. So what we want you to focus on is that you have a unique opportunity here to profile yourself, to make sure that you make a contribution, and also making sure that you can combine the various parts of the Executive MBA over the last year and a half, 2 years that you've done that, into something that demonstrates that you took away value. We have two types of presenters and professors here at Massey. We have the group that has focused on primarily academic work. They're excellent at research and in their topic. And we have a group of people who also have held corporate roles before, obviously splitting effort on both the practical and the academic side. That's me. And I will approach the ARP, working with many of you as your supervisor, but also in managing the effort of those who use other supervisors in a way that reflects a good management approach. That means that I am happy to support, I am happy to help you, but I'm also expecting that you do the heavy lifting. This is your work and not ours, and we will be facilitating and helping, but ultimately it is something that you want to continue doing on your own, and you want to be successful at that. A big part of the ARP is your opportunity to network. You will most likely approach people for facts and information as part of your research. You will possibly arrange with your boss or with people in other companies that you make a major contribution to their firm, and out of that comes networking. Networking is essential to grow a career, the ability to draw on the knowledge and ability of other people, their black book network, their ability, willingness to support you, and to make sure that when you ask them a question, they will be available to answer. That is something that makes a big difference. And I think we want to set the ARP up in a way that you get good exposure, which furthers careers and which ultimately makes big promotions happen. So when we look at ultimately what this ARP is about, it is not about writing a research report for the sake of writing a report that we then read, we grade, and we shred. Not a good thing. So what we're after here is that this is a practical contribution, something that brings an organization, a community, a firm forward. Now, you are executive MBA students. That means we expect more than a trivial contribution. We expect something that will be presented to a board, to a management team, something of consequence. And ultimately, that would be communicated through a report that is written in a management style. We want it accurate. We want decent citations if you use them. But this is a management report. And you well know that managers want to have punchy, factual, easy to understand concepts explained in a way that makes them either agree or disagree, and then they act. So when we look at the scope of this ARP, the company that you're working with can be anyone. In New Zealand, outside of New Zealand, a for-profit, a not-for-profit company, an organization that is active in the community, an iwi, a group that may work on bettering things, innovation. It could well be something that furthers profits. Profits are a good thing, but we first need to earn them. We need to be good at something in order to then reap the rewards. It could be a government entity. It could be doing different procedures. And while I'm talking, I will flash up a couple of example slides that show you just from this very last year, the crop of Massey Executive MBA students, what kind of work they have done. It is okay if you have a self-employment situation and you're looking to contribute to that, making it better, making it profitable. It is okay that you work a business plan for a new venture and then conclude not to do the new venture because it isn't feasible. We don't care much about the outcome. We care that you have a solid fact-based argument that you develop over time based on the research you do, so that when you come to a conclusion, it is sound, it is not just opinion, but it is fact-based and therefore reliable. Credibility is a big thing in management. And you well know that there are some people who may not say very much, but when they come up with something, it is always well supported, and they have a lot of credibility. And then you have met other people who spout out ideas all the time, but it's pretty much their own belief, not well supported by facts, and therefore not very credible. So what I have just shown you here in the various slides that kind of cycled through the past few minutes is that there's a broad range of topics that you can pick. Now, when you think about contributing to an entity, it doesn't just have to be money. Entities have many ways of how they distinguish themselves in a market. It could be something that makes you the best employer in the sector. It could be something that possibly makes you a company that is known for its innovation. It could be adding a global dimension to the business that they currently don't have. It could very easily be a merger and acquisition or some sort of other major transformation in a business so that you're ending up with something that is valuable. The most important part for the ARP is that it is not your belief. The most important part for an ARP is that it is not based on your beliefs. You probably bought a lotto ticket at some point and you couldn't get the 6 numbers right, otherwise you would be in this class. So your ability to predict the future on your own is somewhat limited. Unless you have a couple of syndicated TV shows around the globe, 2 Nobel Prizes, and a whole series of books on the shelf with your name on it as author, I don't believe what you think. I want you to bring me facts, data, something that is a credible base for your conclusions. So what we do in an ARP is that we collect data, we then conclude on that data, we use those conclusions
to recommend action to a management team so that we end up making a difference. Although you have time until March next year to deliver the ARP, this is quite deceptive. What we see quite often is that people say, well, if it's March, wake me in February and I'll knock this out. There is a lot of work. There is a lot of time needed for that lot of work, and depending on whether we're still allowed to have public holidays or something by the beach, there is a holiday season with a family that will interrupt what you do. And clearly, we have other unforeseen circumstances that could well give you a problem. So the deadlines are important. If you deliver late, we cannot guarantee that you will graduate with your cohort. And I know that right now you will say, yeah, March, I could deliver that. It does not take much to derail you. It does not take much to have you spend another 4 weeks on rewriting something. So make sure that you end up with a very disciplined time schedule that you hold yourself accountable for so that you do not run late. If you have a deadline of March, then I would suggest you plan on January. That gives you enough buffer to make something happen. So the sequence of events from here on is very simple. You finish your BRP. That's the most important part, because together with Ted, what you will do is develop a basis, a platform for research. A topic possibly, but you can change that topic later. But certainly you discuss the journey of how you get from an idea to research. That's the important part. The next thing we will do is assign a supervisor. I will do quite a few of those, but if there is special knowledge needed in a sector, then I will contract that out. And a lot of the work that is being done behind the scenes will be to match up that supervisor quite well. Nothing happens until there is a supervisor. Once you have a supervisor, the next thing is that you design a proposal for your research. Your supervisor agrees to that or not. This requires some rework quite often. Many students create projects that are far too large. Boiling an ocean is never a good thing in management. The resources are endlessly spent and nothing happens at the end. So we need to refine this. I prefer ARPs that are narrow and deep and truly make a difference the next day when you start. So once we have a supervisor allocated, then we go through and we define the research that's needed. There are processes to get ethics approval, all of this stuff. Then you do a final report. That's the March thing. And afterwards, you have about 4 weeks' time to reflect on what you have learned, and you essentially produce a reflective essay afterwards. Supervisors are experienced people. They have done this a lot more than you. They can smell 50 miles against the fog whether this is going to work out or not. I want you to work well with your supervisors so that you do not do work that's unnecessary, that you do not repeat a lot of work and lose time. But at the end of the day, supervisors are people that work with you, not for you. They are a resource, and this paper clearly is one that is flipped. We don't tell you what to do, we tell you the outcomes. And that means that you then work to those and you become your own teacher. It's called action learning, and it is what a good manager does in a company. There's no spring chickens here in the room, so all of you have worked for quite a while. If I ask you right now, which manager you remember the most of your past managers, you will tell me the name of the person that taught you the most. So what we want to do is make sure that you become someone who can teach, because that is a very important management quality. We will support this in a very slick setup. We will have a separate private secret Facebook group that is for the ARP students only, so that when we give you insight, different students, different supervisors, and you get feedback, that is shared among the group. It allows you to also use the resource of other ARP students as a consulting opportunity to get someone to help you out, and also maybe somebody to read a few pages of your writing and decide whether that is good management quality or not. So in order to get into that group, let me know. Send me a friend request. I will put you in the group. And we will essentially, as of now, start to wind this up to a point where you can seamlessly begin your ARP after you've done with TED's BRP, so that you're ending up with something that flows from one to the next. You cannot start your ARP until your ABR process has completed. TED will mark and give you comments on your final proposal. That will then carry over into the ARP. You are absolutely free to change your proposal. Things happen in the world, and a proposal that you decided on in March may not be a viable proposal in June or July, but it is good for you to understand what the ingredients are in a good proposal that you put forward. We have 3 assessments. They're all practical. They center very heavily around your final report. There will be clear and detailed marking rubrics for each. Important for you to know is that there is a proposal, there is a report, and there is a reflection. That's really all there is. There's no exam or anything, because you will have worked your hindies off in the meantime. For the proposal, you talk to your supervisor. That's the person who marks that. There is a detailed marking rubric, and the proposal is your roadmap. That is what sets up what you do. There is a chance to change that along the way if things turn to custard and you can't continue. Obviously, there is adaptation, but it is important that you have an agreement with your supervisor what you will do, and therefore where you spend your time on. We then have the report itself. That report is written to a board level, senior management level team standard, so that it is something that you could then use in order to showcase yourself. Clearly, if you have a client and you're doing work that is specific for a company, your company, somebody else's company, it needs to be something with impact, that is credible, that is based on facts. And at the end, a couple of weeks after this ends, we want you to reflect on what you have learned, what you have changed in the way you approach a project, what has worked for you, what hasn't, what was painful, what was fun, so that you end up with an ability to follow along and tell us what this project has done to make you a person who is recognized, who is seen as a leader, as someone who can come up with a complex project and then put that into a context of a plan. For a limited number of ARPs, the very best ones, not necessarily the longest ones or the ones with the prettiest pictures, we will take the report itself, if you want to, and we will publish that in an academic journal. You get author's credit for that. You are the author, and that looks nice on a CV. But it also shows that you have demonstrated abilities that go far beyond what the average MBA does in an average MBA. This is very high-end quality work. And then we will take a shortened version of that, put it into an industry sector so it flows along with the industry, put that in a book so that we end up being able to share that, so that once we protect the innocent, remove the company names, make it anonymous if you want to, that we can then use that book as something that guides other managers and moves them forward. So I hope that gave you a rough sketch of what the ARP is all about. I will now come back and talk with you and also give you something that I want you to do. I will show on the screen now some of the things that are quite important for us to work through, and we will do that right now in breakout rooms in small groups, and we will discuss that back in Zoom. See you in a second.